try to think about what's one piece of advice. When you think of Lead for God's Sake, that book puts an action step into my heart. What's some advice that you can give this community on how they can begin to lead for God's sake?
Kids, even at a young age that I'm coaching right now, the world has changed so much since we were younger, and video and the smartphones and all that. So FCA is very needed. And by using sports, which is the biggest vehicle that we can use to get a hold of kids in today's generation, tying in with FCA, is just going to be a very positive influence on these young men's life. And the book that Todd written, it brought me back to all this at a time when I was ready to just say, okay, I'm going to retire, let the younger generation take over, because the kids that I've coached have come along, and now they're coaching for me. So I'm thinking, okay, that's kind of pretty cool. It's what we wanted, and ready to move on. And then after the book, it was like, maybe I'm not ready to retire. It kind of started the fire again.
I watched my dad and my mom serve young people on the Baldwin Wallace campus. And I saw that every day they woke up and all they wanted to do was help prepare young people for the rest of their lives. And the vehicle happened to be football. And so I think it became just kind of instinctive almost that I wanted to go and serve folks. And then after having experienced the FCA experience, I knew that that I wanted to serve our young people well beyond the X's and O's and victories and all those things, and that interestingly enough, along the way in the coaching journey, I found that the harder I worked on working with the young people and helping them understand what was truly important in life and preparing them spiritually as well as preparing them in their sport, that the harder I worked on that, the more we ended up winning. And I thought, you know what, obviously, that's really what's most important. And then it was probably in the middle of my career at Youngstown State that I happened to be at an event where a professor was giving a lecture, and he put a little quote up there, and it was by Einstein, ironically, and I had no idea who he coached for, but it was a good quote, and it said, "Concern for man and his fate must form the chief interest of all technical endeavors. Never forget this in the midst of your diagrams and equations." And that really spoke to me, because no one has more diagrams and equations than coaches. We sit there and we write X's and O's on napkins, and we talk for hours and hours and watch film and draw circles and argue and all the rest. And so we put that big sign up in our staff room with that quote on it, because we had to remind ourselves that what was most important in what we do was our concern for our young people and their fate and their future. And I think we all know that you really become a product of who you're around, and that's why we've got to work like crazy in this area, in this state, in this country, to get folks to FCA programs and hear speakers and have the right things enter their mind, and it will work its way to their heart. And then the other thing that really forms all of us is what we read. And that's why this book, in my mind, Todd's work there is so impactful, because if we as leaders of any kind, no matter if we're a mother leading at home, if we're a pastor leading at church, if we're a businessman leading at the office, if we're a coach leading in the locker room, if we'll lead for God's sake, then that answers the why. Why are we leading? We're leading for God's sake.
Well, and again, I think it comes back to us being service leaders, and understanding that God put us here to serve, that through our service to other people and our concerns for other people. And it's I think the biggest thing, I've got a little clearer perspective. When you're a young coach and your career's out there ahead of you and you haven't done anything yet, your vision becomes tunnel vision at times. And I'm very blessed right now. And I think I don't want to sound redundant here, because I think the message is clear. I've got a chance for us in God's eyes, to get this thing right, to get these players the message that they've got to have while they are here. And again, I can't say enough about the message that this book has to say. I got players who have no dads, half of them, no dads. You know, and you know, people talk about players changing. Today, it's the parents that changed. We're the ones that changed. We screwed this thing up, you know, and their parents, the kids still want to be loved. They want that, and I think right now that's the most important direction in which I coach. Whether I coach earlier or later or harder or faster is very insignificant to that we coach their lives and to give them something in their lives in all of our professions.
So what are some things that you do, either day-to-day routine, or maybe when you have a crisis, you know, when a crisis comes crashing in, what do you do to really deliver alignment to your why?
Well, I think anytime adversity hits us in any phase of our life, whether it be our professional life, what do? You go back to your fundamentals. If you're on a losing streak in coaching, you go back and you figure out how to block better and tackle better and all the rest. Well, personally, it's no different. I think when you have adversity, you go back to the fundamental things that you know are the most important, which number one is knowing God, having your relationship with God, taking all of your direction, listening closely to God. Head coaches talk a lot. You can tell that with Sam.
I thought I was the head coach. Did he just call me Sam?
Sir talks a lot.
Okay, there we go.
And when we go back to our fundamentals, we begin listening a lot.
This is an organization that, again, like I said, has been near and dear to my heart since day one. Sam, Al, the guys here in Cleveland here, they have been amazing. I continuously get emails and testimonies and calls and things from people that they have touched, from coaches that they've touched, that lives changed